Hi, this is Eve Eliot, corresponding from the dark side of today, a wedding. So the title of this particular posting is Relationships, Not Deflationships. And the subtitle is I Take Thee, Howard. I Don't Own Thee, Howard. So we're going to have a hypothetical wedding. But before we begin that, I would like to tell you a few personal things about myself. If you've been watching all of these, you've known me since Christmas, and there are certain things it would be helpful for you to know, I think, in order to make this particular piece a little more, how shall we say, digestible. So you may see me losing eye contact with you occasionally, because this is a very tender topic, and I don't want to misspeak. So I'm going to read some notes occasionally before the actual wedding ceremony in which we're going to take vows. And what's wonderful about these vows is that we're getting married to an idea. So it's all safe. So you have already seen me in the previous videos through post-traumatic dating disorder, resolved months ago. And somehow I survived Valentine's Day, which would have been my wedding anniversary. What you may not know is that I met my husband at a poker game in 1980, and we spent until 2013 in a mutually nourishing monogamous union of great delight until he died. He, by the way, had forgiven me for winning too many poker hands that night. The generosity of heart provoked in me by this bond with my husband led to the following realization one evening when we were eating onion sandwiches on rye toast and watching the Showtime series Big Love. All at once, a rush of love overtook me and was accompanied by the thought that if my husband wanted another woman or even another wife, I would be okay with that. I wanted him to have whatever he needed. He put down his sandwich when I told him this, and he hugged me. And he said, I adore you. I want only you. Nonetheless, at that moment, I'd understood deeply that in the absence of self-protection, one can truly allow another to receive what they truly need. It is in this spirit that I offer the following outline for a new relational form. This can be an actual marriage involving legal bonds if the couple feels that that's necessary, or it could be an informal understanding between two people who want to pursue a relationship that might have some hope of continuing beyond the expiration date of most relationships. A relationship is, after all, a container, and the shape and size and function of the container must be designed, defined, and used correctly. It must be a container that, contains well enough to prolong the expiration date of what it is holding, so that what it is holding doesn't get stale too soon. This requires ventilation. Ever notice the little holes in the containers that tomatoes and blueberries are shipped and sold in? Living things need ventilation. Our current relational forms don't allow for that. Also, a relationship is a social system, a political system, an arena in which it is all too often to have civil wars breaking out. The civil wars, sometimes not so civil, need to be fixed by a revolution, a totally different container. So here's my plan. So before we hear the vows, if this is going to be an actual marriage, because the couple prefers such a thing, an actual legal bond, it would take place in a lawyer's office first. A document describing the nature of a 5-year renewable contract is signed. In this contract, the couple has decided how to divide whatever property they have agreed to share, although sharing is not obligatory. Subsequently, they take vows of their own creation. I have devised the following example of vows for Heather and Howard, so I'm going to be Heather here, and these are the vows. I, Heather, am honored to be standing with you, Howard, and I want you to know that though we share much, our love of making cheese soufflés and playing poker, and listening to St. Matthew's Passion, and J.J. Cale singing Magnolia, I will strive to remember and respect and support the ways we are different. If you need to throw your clothes over a chair each night, but keep your boat as pristine as an operating room, I promise to stop pointing out that the orderliness of your boat seems more important to you than the orderliness of our living space. We do not need to live together. We have been blessed not only with having found one another to be a delight, but also with the resources to maintain separate dwellings. Perhaps that might be a good format to continue with, since my cat, Monica Lewinsky, doesn't get along that well with your cat, Gabriella. I think Gabby is jealous of what a hottie Monica is, and we agree that might be the case, but maybe homeopathic or homeopathic remedies could remedy that someday. Not a deal breaker, though. I do not expect you to anticipate my needs. Neither of us are mind readers, though I do feel our brains are harmonizing much of the time. In any case, I don't require you to help me discern my needs and then meet them so I can feel whole. I'm already whole. I want your companionship. This is where the deepest want is, the deepest, most beloved wish that I have. And since you can't be the you I want unless you are fully self-expressing, I promise to support your self-discovery in whatever way a true friend can. If you need to hide out in a cabin in Montana without communicating for 3 months, please meet that need. If you need quiet when we're together, I promise not to follow you from room to room asking you what's wrong when you're desiring solitude. If you need another companion, it's not my business, it's yours. It doesn't matter if you caress someone else. The more caressing, the better. So now comes the hard part, and I do mean hard in every possible meaning. One of the things I love about you is that you are, well, manly. This manliness is not just your eager willingness to be the first of us, to reach for the WD-40 when something squeaks. This subject has arisen, this language can get dangerous, because of studies that show that men in monogamous unions have reduced levels of testosterone. If the very manliness about you that I love becomes challenged by your manliness belonging exclusively to me, you need not to be mine alone, so you can stay the manly man that I love. So if the fullness of your self-expression leads to sexual union with someone other than myself, please know that I support that. I can reach for the WD-40 anytime I want to, but I need you to be the you that I want, so that when I reach for you, you will still be that you. See what a quandary this is? Habituation to routine arrests testosterone production. I'm sure you'd rather stay, well, hard. This was hard for me to say. This is why I'm armored today in this nutty-looking hair. If we are to walk our path together for another 5 years, I want you to still be the manly man that I love at the end of those 5 years. I do feel scared that you will not want to renew our contract if you touch another woman. I'll have to live with that anxiety, and it's worth living with if I know I'm doing all I can to help you prolong your manly years. While there needn't be deception about seeking sex with another, if you prefer to keep other alliances private, then you must. Your needs, whether sexual or other, are not my business unless you invite me to explore them with you. Thank you for appreciating me and for being my darling. I never imagined I could have another connection like this. I promise to let you know often how much I appreciate you. So those were Heather's vows. Later, in the next video, Howard shares his relational plans with Heather. Their vows don't have to be identical. This is an extremely subtle process and must be given a great deal of thought. Heather might encourage Howard's roving, but Howard might not be okay with Heather's. If that's the case, and they can agree to have disproportionate freedoms, it's up to them to decide. In 5 years, they can redecide how they want to relate to each other. In a few minutes, you'll be deciding if you think I'm completely nuts. Fine. The 3 people I shared this with had very different responses. And you might too. One of the friends thought it was about real love, that love took into account the needs of the other, the otherness of the other. What do you think and feel about it? So I have some music. We're going to have wedding music now. And I also have our ancestors, Howard's and mine, here, and we're going to take some photos of them in a moment. What I'd like to leave you with is the reminder that the old ways are not working. We need containers that provide a longer shelf life and are more fun and are recyclable. Thanks for tuning in. Here are our ancestors.